Welcome to Pages and Pods. In this episode, we will look at the birth of a thought form, Rudolf Steiner's explanation of how ideas become beings. Rudolf Steiner taught that thoughts are not merely private mental activities, but living forces within the etheric realm. When charged with emotion and intent, they can take on form and autonomy, becoming independent entities within the spiritual world. These beings, born of human thought, can influence consciousness for good or ill, depending on the moral quality of their origin. He called them creations of the human soul, subtle organisms made of will and imagination. Steiner describes such creations as elemental beings of human making. Though they share the same ethereal domain as gnomes, undines, sylphs, and salamanders, they arise from human imagination and will rather than natural forces. When many minds unite around the same idea or emotion, their combined force can give rise to an egregore, a collective being sustained by the shared energy of the group. Both stem from projected mental energy, but a thought form is a personal and short-lived being, while egregores endure, evolving through the consciousness that feeds it. In his spiritual cosmology, Steiner distinguishes human-made thought forms from the higher beings he called spirits of form, the exousi, or powers. Thought forms are constructs of the human soul shaped in the astral or etheric realms by imagination, emotion, and will. They can appear vivid and alive, yet their existence depends entirely on human attention. Their life is psychic, fleeting, and bound to the moral energy that sustains them. The spirits of form, by contrast, are exalted beings of the third hierarchy, architects of structure and law in both the physical and spiritual world. They bestow order, continuity, and the very sense of the human I, guiding the long arc of evolution through successive planetary ages. Steiner often described how human thoughts can transform into living forms within the elemental world. In Secrets of the Threshold, GA 147, he writes, "You thrust your consciousness into a place where you don't find thoughts as in the physical world, but where they are living beings. Imagine sticking your head into an anthill. You would have ants in your head instead of thoughts. So it is when your soul dips into the elemental world. Your thoughts become so alive that they join and separate of their own accord. In the threshold of the spiritual world," GA 17, he adds, "in the supersensible world, a thought is no longer merely a thought. It has an inner activity, a life of its own. Human thinking contributes to a vast sea of spiritual activity, a reflection of the divine thought order poured into the universe." He reminds us that both the physical and elemental worlds are deeds of spiritual beings. The supersensible realm is not an empty space, but a living world of entities, some divine, others human-made. When we project unrefined thought forms into this realm, we participate in creation itself, for better or worse. Steiner takes this idea further, describing the entire physical world as a manifestation of spiritual thinking. Thoughts, which are beings, speak with other thoughts, which are also beings. To think is to commune with living presences. Higher spiritual beings also send their thoughts into our world. Human consciousness lives with a vast cosmography of thought. Our personal ideas, the forms shaped by emotion and will, and the divine thoughts streaming from the hierarchy above, all mingle and commingle within the earthly realm. Even this material world, Steiner insists, is only the shadow of this higher activity. He says, seen from the spiritual world, the qualities, forces, materials of the physical world disappear as such and are revealed as mere appearances. From the spiritual world, man sees only beings, and in them lies true reality. What we call matter is actually a condensation of spiritual thought, an illusion given form by our consciousness. Steiner taught that our thoughts and words are not confined within us. They are deeds impressed upon the fabric of reality. Thought, speech, and will all extend beyond the body, shaping the worlds in which we live. In Eurythmy as Visible Speech, GA 279, he writes, the inner being of man is impressed into the air when we speak. If we could sound all the alphabet at once, we would have the whole etheric form of a human being. Speech in this sense is not mere communication, but creation, an act that stamps the human form into the etheric world. Thought, too, carries objective power. In The Astral World, GA 107, Steiner says, let us suppose a thought arises in our soul. The clairvoyant can observe how a current proceeds from this thought to a being of the astral world. As a being of that world, one cannot keep back one's thoughts. They become deeds immediately. Every idea, every spoken word leaves its trace in the etheric and astral realms. Humanity, through thinking and speaking, continuously imprints its inner life on the cosmos. In the end, Steiner reminds us that thought is not only creative, it is humanity's bridge to the future. Through thinking, we participate in the Earth's transformation, guiding its evolution towards what he calls the New Jerusalem. Whether you subscribe to the return of Christ or the ascent beyond the Kali Yuga, none of these destinies unfold without human thought and will. Thought, Steiner writes in Human and Cosmic Thought, GA 151, is most completely our possession. If we can find the relation of thought to the cosmos, we shall find the relation of what is most completely ours to the universe. Our inner life radiates outward, shaping both the visible world and the unseen realms that sustain it. Steiner's cosmology harmonizes with the Kabbalistic teaching about unrestrained speech, that every word and every idea becomes a force released into creation. Our thoughts and utterances are not fleeting. They build and populate the world around us. So we must think carefully, speak deliberately, and remember that each thought we release becomes part of the living cosmos. This concludes this episode of Pages and Pods. If you find these ideas thought-provoking, remember to like, subscribe, and share your reflections in the comments. I read and reply to every one. Your reflections help shape the conversation, just as our thoughts shape the world we share. Until next time, keep your thoughts luminous. The universe is listening.